Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome to another video. Welcome to another episode. Disclaimer: none of the events mentioned are true. No adult is being harmed in the video, and any adult don't have a negative role. It is just my imagination story. So don't take it serious. Let's start the story. The afternoon sun poured golden light into the courtyard, but for Minhee it felt like shadows stretched endlessly. Jisoo had been playing quietly on the floor, humming in frail little voice while drawing on a piece of scar paper with a broken crayon. Minjun, restless as always, stormed into the room with the arrogance only a child poisoned by manipulation could carry. Jiwoo's word whispered a day and night into his ears. I had already planted thorns of disdain for Minhee and her weak little sister. Why are you sitting like a girl? You are not even strong enough to properly. Minjun mocked, snatching the crayon from Jisoo's trembling fingers. Give it back, Hyung. Jisoo pleaded softly, his voice thinner than paper, his small chest heaving with effort. But Minjun laughed cruelly. You are not my brother. You are just some mistake she brought from the streets. The insult hit me in his ear like a dagger. She rushed forward, her heart hammering her maternal instinct, screaming for protection. Minju, stop that this instant. Don't talk your dongsang like that. She scolded, her voice tight but firm. Instead of listening, Minjun shoved back just so back. The little boy's frail body stumbled, his head break in the sharp corner of the wooden table with the sticking third. Blood gushed instantly, streaming down his pale forehead. Jisoo! When his scream shattered the air, she dropped to her knees, scooping her baby into her trembling arms as crimson stained her back. No, no, please. Sweetheart, open your eyes. Her sobs racked her chest. Minjun froze, realizing what he had done. But instead of remorse, fear twisted his features. It's not my fault. She's weak. She fell by herself. He yelled, trying to shield himself from the guilt Jivo had sown in his heart. When he turned on him, fury and grief burning in her eyes. Enough, Minjun. Do you even understand what you have done? He's your little sister. He's already suffering. Enough. How could you hurt him like this? Her tone, sharp and desperate, cracked through the house like lightning. At the exact moment Jungkook entered, drawn by the chores, his gaze fell first on Minhee's raised voice, then on Minjin's threatening tears, and lastly on Jisoo's bleeding forehead in Minhee's arm. But instead of seeing the truth, his mind, already clouded by years of Jiwoo's venom, twisted the scene. Minhee? His voice thundered like a storm. What the hell are you doing to Minjun? Sorry, girl. Minhee's eyes widened, disbelief flooding her expression. What? No, Jungkook. Listen to me. Minjun paused Jisoo. He heard him. Look! She held up her sobbing, blood-soaked child, but Jungkook's gaze remained locked on Minjun. She clutched his chest dramatically, crying louder than before. She screamed at me. Appa! She said horrible things to me. Minjun waited, running into Jungkook's arm, burying his face against his chest. The side broke Minhee further. That's not true. I would never hurt him. Jungkook, please believe me. Jisoo is the one who he's bleeding. Can't you see? Her words came out gasp as she pressed her hand desperately against Jisoo's wood, bound to stop the bleed. But Jungkook's anger had already flared. He looked down at her with ice in his eyes, cold and unyielding. I told you before, Minhee, don't you raise that voice, my son. Don't ever make him feel small in this house. Her heart clenched so painfully. She thought she might collapse. Your son, Jungkook? Jisoo is your son too, she cried, her tears mixing with Jisoo's blood. Why can't you see? Why can't you see the truth in front of your eyes? But her pleas bounced off his hardened expression. In a swift motion, he grabbed her arm, yanking her to her feet while she still clutched Jisoo against her chest. Enough. If you can't control your tongue, then you will stay locked away until you learn. No, please, Jungkook, no, no. She's hurt. She need doctor, please. Minhee begged, her voice breaking into raw desperation as she shrugged to keep Jisoo in her arms. Jungkook jaw clenched. He pried Jisoo from her grip. His touch surprisingly gentle as he passed the boy to a maid standing by, ordering her to take Jisoo to the hospital wing. But his grip on Minhee remained merciless. She thrashed weakly, tears pouring down her eyes. Don't take me away from him. He needs me. He's scared without me. Junk, please. But he dragged her without in the hall. Deaf to her cries, servants and family members watched with cruel satisfaction, especially Jivu, whose lips curled into a wicked smile at the success of her manipulation. Finally, Jungkook shoved Minhee into a dim guest room and slammed the door shut. The sound of the lock clicking echoed like the shattering of her soul. Minhee collapsed against the wooden floor. Her palms passed against the door. Please, Jungkook, open the door. Open the door. I didn't hurt anyone. I didn't hurt Minjun. He hurt Jisoo. I swear on my life. I was only protecting him. Please, just listen to me once. Her voice cracked, hoarse from crying. But no reply came. Only the sound of footsteps walking away, growing fainter with every second, leaving her droning in silence. Inside the locked room, and he clutched her chest as if she could hold the pieces of her broken heart together. Her daughter was heard, bleeding, calling for her, perhaps, and she was trapped, helpless, branded as a villain in her own home. The weight of Jungkook's mistrust pressed down heavier than the walls around her. Why, why can't he see me? She whispered into the emptiness, rocking back and forth, her tears soaking her dress. Why am I always the one punished when all I have never done in love him, only love him? And so, as the night swallowed her sobs, when he sat locked away, her pain echoing louder than any scream. Outside, Jiwa celebrated in silence triumph. Minjun slept peacefully in Jungkook's arms, and little Jisoo lay alone in the infirmary bed, crying for his mother, who could not come. The family that was supposed to be her shelter had become her prison, and still she endured for the sake of her children, for the sake of his daughter. Jungkook would open his eyes and see the truth. When he sat on the cold floor of locked room, her knees pulled tightly against her chest, her tears soaking the fabric of her dress. She had screamed until her throat was raw, begging Jungkook to open the door, but the silence outside felt heavier than chains. Her heart ached not for herself, but for her little Jisoo, who had been left in the hands of a hostile household. She knew Jisoo's condition was fragile, that every moment mattered, and yet she was trapped, silenced by the very man she once believed would protect her. When Jaggook had seen Minjun he had bleeding, he had snapped at Minhee without listening, convinced she was cruel to the son they had once shared in love. He had refused to hear her side, refused to see the truth that Jisoo had been the one hurt, that Minhee scolded came from the malice, but from the desperation of a mother trying to protect her weaker child. But to Jungkook, everything looked twisted, poisoned by the lies Jiwoo had been feeding him for years. As the odds dragged by Min, his body grew weak, but her spirit burned with determination. She whispered through her tears, as though Jungkook could hear her through the door. Please, Jungkook, just one little to me. Jisoo is sick. She has a heart disease. The doctor said she needs treatment abroad. If you don't act soon, I will lose him. Don't make me watch our child die because of your anger. Don't make me carry this alone. But outside, Jungkook sat in study. Her muffled cried, seeping under the door, gnawing at the composer. He poured himself another glass of whiskey, trying to drown out the sound. He told himself she was lying again, just like before, just like the picture Jivu had shown him years ago, where Minhee had seemed to betray him. His heart hardened, but the glass trembled slightly in his hand. She's manipulating me again, he whispered to himself, staring at the flickering light of the chandelier. She always cries when she wants something. If I believe her now, she will only hurt me again. And yet, in the corner of his mind, Minhee's word echoes. The desperation in her voice was unlike anything he had heard once. But Jungkook buried the thought, pressing his hands over his chest as though to still the faint stirring of guilt. Meanwhile, Jivu walked past Minhee's locked room. She opened the door with a cruel smile tugging at her lips. She relished the sound of Minhee's sobs, the way Jungkook's coldness broke her little by little. For Jivu, every tear Minhee shed was a victory. She leaned against the wall, whispering just loud enough for Minhee to hear through the door. You will never win, Minhee. Jungkook doesn't believe you. He never will. He's mine to control, and soon enough. Minjun will hate you too. You should give up before you destroy yourself completely. Minhee pressed her hands over her ears, trying to block Jivu's venom, but the words stung too deeply. Still, her mother's heart refused to give up, even her prison of misunderstanding. She clung to the faint hope that one day Jungkook would see the truth, that he would understand Jivu's suffering was real. When night finally came, she lay curled on the hard floor, whispering her children's name into the darkness. Minjun, Jisoo, please be safe. Mama will find a way. And outside the locked room, Jungkook sat awake, restless, haunted by her cries, yet still too proud, too wanted to turn the key that could free her. Minhee had hardly slept for days, since Jungkook had locked her away in the room. She had begged, cried, and shouted until her voice broke, but nothing had changed. Only when she was finally released, pale, dizzy, and exhausted, did she stumble back to her son's side. Jisoo was lying in bed, his little face pale as the moon, his small hands trembling as he reached for her. Mama, he whispered, his lips dry and cracked. It hurts here. His tiny fingers pressed against his chest. Minhee's heart squeezed painfully. She stroked his hair, hiding the terror that rose in her heart. She, sweetheart, Mama is here. You will be okay. I will not let anything happen to you. But even as she soothed him, she could feel the heat of his skin, see the strain in his breathing. His condition was worsening, just as the doctor had warned months ago. Every day, the delayed treatment, Jisu's chances grew slimmer. That night, when the household finally grew quiet, when he sat at Jisu's bedside, holding her hands, she hummed softly an old lullaby her own mother once sang. Her tears slipping slightly down her cheeks. Suddenly, Jisu's small body convulsed. His back arched, his face contorted in pain, and a strangled cry tore from his lips. His eyes felt heavy, and he went limp in her arms. Jisoo, mine, he screamed, shaking him gently. No, no, please, not now. Someone help me. Her cries tore through the silent house, rousing even the sleeping servants. The clutter of hurried footsteps filled with the hall as he clutched her daughter against her chest. Sobbing, Jungkook came running down the stairs, startled by the commotion. His eyes widened when he saw Minhee kneeling on the floor, Jisoo's lifeless body in her arms. Call an ambulance, she screamed at him, her face drenched in tears. She is not breathing properly. Please, Jungkook, help him. For the first time in years, Jungkook saw raw terror in her eyes, the kind of fear that no lie or manipulation could create. His hands clenched painfully as he grabbed his phone with shaking hands, barking orders to the driver. Within minutes, the house erupted into chaos. Jivu stood frozen at the staircase, her smug mask slipping as she watched Minhee world crumble. For a fleeting second, fear flashed across her face, not for Jisoo, but for the fragile hold she had over Jungkook. At the hospital, Minhee refused to let go of Jisoo until the doctor physically pried him from her arms. She sank to the floor of the waiting area, sobbing uncontrollably, her fingers digging into her dress as though holding herself together. Jungkook stood by, his chest heaving, his mind spinning. He had never seen Jisoo like this, so fragile, so close to death. Memories flashed in his mind. Jisoo's laughter, his soft voice calling Papa long ago, the way he always shielded her from every harsh word. Minutes dragged into awe. The sterile hallway felt suffocating. Every tick of the clock an eternity. Finally, the doctor emerged, his face grave. Are you parents of Jisoo Jeon? He asked. Yes, Minhee and Jungkook said at once, their voice trembling. The doctor sighed, pulling off his glasses. Mr. and Mrs. June, I need to be honest with you. Your daughter is suffering from a congenital heart disease. His heart is weak, and without urgent surgery, his life will remain at risk. Tonight, collapse was a warning. Next time, it might be fatal. Jungkook's eyes widened, his blood running cold. What? What did you just say? Congenital heart disease? The doctor repeated firmly. I am surprised you don't know. Your wife must have tried to tell you. This is not something that can be hidden and developed suddenly. He has been suffering for a long time. When he covered her face with her hand, sobbing openly, she turned to Jungkook, her voice breaking. I told you, I begged you to leave, but you never listened. Now, do you see? I wasn't lying. Our daughter is dying, Jungkook. Her words sliced through the silence like a blade. Jungkook staggered back a step, his heart pounding in his chest. Images of all times when he had pleaded with her, all the tears he had dismissed as manipulation, flooded his mind. Guilt slammed into him like a tidal wave, leaving him breathless. The doctor placed a hand on Jungkook's shoulder. Mr. Jeon, time is critical. We need to arrange surgery abroad as soon as possible. If you delay, I cannot promise her survival. Jungkook's throat tightened. His pride crumbled under the crushing weight of truth. He turned to look at Minhee, her eyes red, her body trembling. Yet her hands still clasped, as though praying for a miracle. She had carried this burden alone for so long, fighting against everyone's disbelief, enduring humiliation, all for Jesus' sake. And he had been the one chaining her with mistrust. For the first time after many years, Jungkook, I see compare shattered. His voice trembled as he whispered, when I, but the words stuck in his throat, swallowed by shame. When he looked at him with hollow eyes, her tears still falling. Don't say anything. Just save her. That's all I want. Save Jisoo. Jungkook bowed his head, his fists clenching tightly. For once, there were no excuses, no cold words to shield himself, only silence, and the heavy realization that his blindness had nearly cost him his child. Outside the ICU doors, the monitors beeped steadily, each sound a fragile reminder of Jesus' life hanging in the balance of life and death. And for the first time, Jungkook swore to himself that he would do whatever it took to keep his daughter alive, even if it meant tearing down the walls of pride he had built around his heart. Jungkook sat in the white hospital corridor, his hands gripping his knees so tightly that his knuckles turned pale. The sterile smell of antiseptic filled with air, mingling with the faint echo of hurried footsteps and a distant beating of machines. His mind refused to process the words the doctor had just told him. Heart disease, congenital, dangerous, late diagnosis. Each word hammered inside his skull like a merciless echo. each syllable slicing through the wall of Daniel he had built over the past years. His little girl, Jisoo, the child he had never embraced, never claimed, never loved, the child he had thought of as a shameful reminder of Minhee's post betrayal, the child he had pushed away, whose existence he had treated with cold silence and cruel dismissal. And now she was dying. They pressed the heels of his palm against his eyes, but the tears pushed through regardless. They slid hot and bitter down his face, and for the first time in years, Jeon Jungkook, the proud, unshakable businessman, the man everyone feared and respected, broke apart completely. His shoulders shook with silent sobs as the image of Jisoo flashed before him, her pale smile, her soft giggle when she tried to run after Minjun despite her weak legs, the way her fragile little hand had once reached towards him only for him to step back in coldness. He had rejected her again and again, and the memory of Minhee's trembling voice came rushing back. Jungkook, please, please listen. Jisoo is sick. She needs treatment. I am not lying. I could never lie about something like this, please. He had ignored her. He had dismissed her word as manipulative excuses. He had even locked her in a room, accusing her of cruelty towards Minchun. He had spat venom at her, doubted her sincerity and crushed her dignity, and still she had borne it silently for the sake of their daughter. The realization made his chest constrict with unbearable guilt. He bent forward, covering his face, his breath racked as the full weight of his cruelty collapsed onto him. Inside the ward, he sat at Jisoo's bedside, holding the frail little hand. The child's face looked smaller than ever, her lips pale, her breath shallow, but steady for now. Minhy's own eyes were swollen from crying, but her gaze was fixed on Jisoo with unvarying tenderness. She smoothed the damp strands of hair from her daughter's forehead, whispering prayers under her breath, desperate pleas to any power that would listen. When the door opened, Minhy looked up. Jungkook stood there. His face was ghostly pale, his eyes bloodshot, his jaw trembling as though he were barely holding himself together. For a moment, Minhy thought she was imagining things, that her exhaustion was playing tricks on her. But then, but then, he saw, he saw everything and stepped inside, his eyes locked on Jisoo's fragile body on the hospital bed. The sight seemed to knock the air out of him. His knees nearly buckled, and he had to grip the side of the bed for support. His gaze roamed over the tubes, the monitor wides, the way Jisoo's little chest rose and fell with effort, and then his eyes darted to Minhee. Her face was streamed with dyed tears, her lips trembling, her body frail from years of suffering. She looked both broken and unyielding strong, the mother who had carried the entire weight of his neglect and their dated daughter's pain alone. Minhee, his voice cracked. Minhee's eyes hardened. She looked at him as though she had no strength left to speak, no trust left to lend him. For the first time in years, she did not beg. She simply looked back at her daughter and whispered, "Don't cry, Jisoo. Mommy's here." Jungkook heard shattered into pieces. He stumbled back out of the room, unable to bear the crushing weight of her silent rejection. He leaned against the cold wall of the corridor and slid down, his breath raged. His mind screamed with memories, every cruel word he had ever said to her, now replaying like knives stabbing him over and over. He remembered throwing her out on his birthday because of Jiwoo's lies. He remembered rejecting her when she came with Jisoo in her arms, desperate for help. He remembered dragging her away from the bar, accusing her, humiliating her, instead of asking why she was there. He remembered doubting her every time she begged him to believe, and still she had fought alone for their daughter. When the doctor returned to discuss Jisu's case further, Jungkook forced himself to listen. His entire body shook as the words landed on him like thunder. She needs surgery, but her condition is delicate. We will need to prepare carefully. Overseas treatment is essential. The facilities here won't be enough, and the longer it takes, the more dangerous it becomes. Frankly, it's a miracle she survived this long. Her mother must have been very careful. Jungkook's throat closed. He knew what the doctor meant when he had saved Jisoo again and again. Though her tireless sacrifices, her desperate protection, her endless strength, it wasn't Minhee who had betrayed him. It was him who had betrayed them both. He walked back into the ward, but his steps were slow, hesitant. When he didn't look at him, her world was centered at the fragile little girl sleeping beside her. Minhee, Jungkook whispered, his voice breaking. I don't know, God. I don't know. Minhee finally turned to him, her eyes glistening with exhausted fury. You didn't want to know, Jungkook. I begged you. I cried. I humiliated myself, trying to make you believe. But you choose to think I was lying. You choose to throw me away. Her voice cracked, but she didn't stop. Do you know what it was like raising her alone, watching her faint in my arms, knowing I couldn't afford treatment, knowing her time was slipping away while her father lived just miles away and refused to listen? Each word was a dagger. Jungkook pressed his hand to his chest, feeling like he couldn't breathe. Minhee, please. I'm sorry. I was blind. I was cruel. His voice broke, and he fell to his knees beside her chair. Please, let me make it right, please. I will do anything. Just don't shut out now. When he stared at him for a long, heavy moment, then she looked back at Jisoo, brushing her daughter's fragile cheek. If you really want to make it right, save her. The word struck Jungkook deeper than any accusation ever could. He swallowed hard, nodding fiercely. I will. I swear, I will. I will take her abroad. I will find the best doctor. I will. His voice broke again, tears spilling freely. Just give me the chance. For the first time, when he didn't answer, she simply looked at him with hollow eyes, as if unsure whether she could trust him anymore. That night, Jungkook sat by Jisoo's bed, holding her tiny hand in her large trembling one. He stared at her face, so much like Minhee, delicate, her little lips parted in restless sleep. His heart clenched painfully. Daddy's here, he whispered, his voice breaking. I am sorry it took me so long, Jisoo. I should have protected you. I should have loved you from the start. Please, please fight. Let me make it right. I will never leave you again. Her tears slid down Jisoo's cheek in her sleep, and Jungkook bent forward, pressing his forehead against her hand, sobbing silently. Jungkook was shattered, but in his brokenness a vow was born. He would do whatever it took to save his daughter, to protect Minhee, and to redeem the years of cruelty he had inflicted. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you like the video. Please like, subscribe, and share. And share my videos with other people, so I should get more views, and I will be very thankful to you. And that's it for today. Bye bye.